marimba instrument started in Zimbabwe in the Mishits era through the MBIRA people, now known as the MBIRA people. There was no language called SHONA before 1930. SHONA was only constructed through the help of a white professor who was taken from Witwatersrand University, South Africa, a Professor William Dock, in 1930 at a place called Monte Cassino in Macheke. Before that, the Shona simply called themselves Van, a word whose meaning was popular in many African communities like the Dinka of Sudan. All these communities refer to themselves as People Van. Before the creation of SHONA, the Chivano language had no R, but it had an L. So most of the words we currently pronounce using an R were actually pronounced with an L. Words like Lunde was Lundi, Karanga was Kalanga, Chimurenga was Chimulenga, Mwari was Mwali, Roora was Loola, etc. Now don't laugh, just do a little bit of research and you understand. And by the way, talking of Mwari, no such thing existed. Even Musikavanu, even Nyadenga, were no such things in SHONA. Our SHONA ended with Midzimu. These were the major things we believed in. After the Midzimu, there was the leader of the whole clan. If you were a Soko, you had one big leader who led the whole Soko clan. This was called the Shumba, the lion, or the Mondolo, because we had no R. Now it sounds funny when we say Mondolo instead of Mondoro, because we now call it Mondoro. This was the biggest thing, this biggest spirit of the clan after the Mudzimu. We didn't go for Mwari or Musikavanu. Do your research. Thank you. Still on languages, there's been corruption on many words, from Chivano to English, or vice versa. Some of the words that come to mind are Manzou, being corrupted to Mazoe. A mountain, once pronounced as Bur in Chiweshe because it had nothing, is now known as Bare in SHONA, the corruption of the word. An interesting word though is of a mountain range called MATUZVIADONHA because it had big beds making droplets the size of human feces, but is now known as Mavuradona, the falling of rains, maybe, just maybe, to avoid the gross word. 16 official languages. Zimbabwe has the most official languages in the world. These are Chewa, and also included is Chibarwe. And there is also another language called English, which is foreign but the most official because it's used in most documents. There is also another language called Kalanga, which is the original SHONA language. Kalanga. There is also another language called Khoisan, mainly used by the Khoi people. But these are not all. We can also include languages like Nambia, mostly spoken in places like Wange. There is also a language called Ndau, spoken mostly in the southern part. It's sometimes confused with Manyika, but this is different. There is also Ndebele, spoken on the western side of Zimbabwe. There is also another official language called Shangani, spoken in the southern and western parts of Zimbabwe through the people who came through Soshangani, the Shangani. There is also a language called Shona, which is a combination of many dialects. Then there is also a language called Sign Language, which is international but is official in Zimbabwe. Also include languages like Soto, which started in South Africa, but we have a large number of Zimbabweans who speak it. There is also Tonga, which is also spoken very much in Zimbabwe and is among the 16 languages. There is also a language called Tswana, which is spoken very much in Zimbabwe and thus is official. We also have the language called Venda, which is very popular in places like Great Britain. We also have a language called Xhosa, which is popular in South Africa, but many other people in Zimbabwe speak it. The current earthly year is 12 months and around 365 days a year. This is in contrast to planets like Mercury and Venus, whose days are longer than their years. A day on Venus or on Mercury lasts longer than its year, meaning its day is bigger than its year, unlike on Earth, where it's vice versa. Ironically, these two planets have no moons. But I digress. Traditionally, one looked at the moons and their year, and they said there were 13 moons. These moons made their months. They, however, had no names for days or for weeks. The Chirano's 13 months in a year were as follows: Ndira, Kukadzi, Kurume, Kobvumbi, Chivavu, Bandwe, Chikumi, Chikunguru, Nyamavuvu, Gunyana, Gumiguru, Mbudzi, and Sita. Zimbabwe has people with the least toes on their legs. These are the Doma tribe people found in the Zambezi Valley. The condition is likely to have come from a mutated gene initially and was never a handicap. These are also known as the ostrich people. The Ndabeles used to have an INXWALA ceremony. This ceremony was held as a thank you to ancestors for protecting the claim as well as giving it riches. In this ceremony, a black ox was chosen. Its 4 legs would then be amputated, and meat from this leg was mixed as a concoction with some herbal medicines so that the Ndebele warriors would be protected and strong. This process was done reminiscent of King Mzilikazi's dead Matobana, who had one hand. His other hand had been amputated by the king of the Ndwandwes, Zwide Tumalo. In choosing an heir, the Ndabeles had many considerations, including whether the son to succeed had a mother from a royal family, whether the heir son had been born after his dad had already become a king, and the ability of the heir son to lift a given heavy thing, among many other requirements. Nkulumani and Lobengula had all the required heir attributes, but while Nkulumani managed to lift the heavy thing, Lobengula, whose mother is a well in the current Bulawayo City House, failed. However, Nkulumani failed to become king for other reasons we shall not mention now. When Lobengula became king, he also had 2 sons as potential heirs, but Lobengula preferred one of them more, Nyamande, who unfortunately failed to lift the given thing against the unfavored Mhlambi's son Lontriyo, who did. Lobengula was not amused and sought to kill Mhlambi as well as his son Lontriyo. They both fled. Lontriyo was hidden among the Vanu people at present-day Mwenezi, near a mountain that is a big cave from one end to the other, Mushonga Nemuri, and his name changed to Dabengwa, meaning we are hated. This was the name the Ndabeles later pronounced as Dabengwa. The word NYANGA, meaning medicine person, is a corruption of NYANGA, since most of them used horns initially. Zimbabwe's highest mountain peak is Inyangani in Nyanga. It is 2,592 meters, which is 2.5 kilometers above sea level. Its name is derived from the medicine men who used to frequently stay around the place. The place is, however, popular for the wrong reasons: the disappearance of people. It is not known whether it's animals eating them or some quicksand somewhere or whatever it could be. Trees are shriveled into abortion by the forest fires, making it a bit clearer, but the constant mist more often takes away the clarity. It's an exciting, scary place. Pardon the oxymoron, but hey, pay a visit to this nice place.